Today, we're diving into a really radical vision for our global food system. It's an idea that argues our very survival depends on bridging this huge gap between our most advanced tech and, believe it or not, our most ancient wisdom. I mean, just look at this book cover. It captures the whole idea perfectly. You've got a traditional farmer holding a book, looking like a figure of timeless wisdom. And right there in the same field is a high-tech agricultural drone. It's a picture that just forces you to try and connect two worlds we almost always keep separate. And this gets right to the heart of the book's core argument. The authors, Professor Dr. Om Srivastava and Ms. Aprajita Srivastava, they're not just suggesting a few tweaks to get better crop yields. No, they're arguing that the literal survival of civilization hangs in the balance, and it requires this exact fusion of technology and ethics. So yeah, the stakes couldn't be any higher.
Okay, but before we can even get to the cool stuff, the drones and the data, we have to ask a really fundamental question. Why are our global food systems failing so badly in the first place? What's the root of the problem?
Well, the authors argue that our modern world, with its shiny skyscrapers and complex stock markets, is still running on an Iron Age operating system. Those primal instincts of competition and greed, they're still in charge. They argue our geopolitics and our corporate supply chains are, at the end of the day, still all about dominance and profit.
So what's fanning the flames of all this primal greed? Well, the authors point a finger at a pretty surprising culprit, our education system. They call it the ROI Education Crisis. The idea is that instead of shaping well-rounded citizens with a moral compass, education has become almost entirely about return on investment. It's great at teaching market skills, but it's stripped away the ethical framework we need to use those skills wisely. And this metaphor just illustrates the problem brilliantly. Imagine building this incredible, powerful, hyper-efficient supercar, but you deliberately choose not to install a steering wheel. That's what we're doing. We are churning out generations of incredibly skilled professionals who have all the power in the world to go really, really fast, but absolutely zero ethical direction to guide them. So, if the disease is a system running on a supercar with no steering wheel, how do you fix it? Well, you've got to install one. And this is where the authors introduce their comprehensive cure. The framework they've built is called knowledge agriculture. And it's not just a collection of nice ideas. It's a detailed blueprint designed to completely re-engineer our entire approach to food security. So what exactly is knowledge agriculture? Well, at its core, it's a framework designed to align our food systems not with profit, but with universal welfare. And its primary goal is incredibly ambitious, achieving zero hunger, as laid out in the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Now, what's really interesting here is how it's built. Knowledge agriculture stands on four interconnected pillars. You have a global education ecosystem, a software arsenal, farm-to-fork technology, and a fair data repository. And here's the crucial part. These are not options on a menu. For this thing to work, they all have to be deployed at the same time. And this slide shows just how brilliant that symbiotic relationship is. See, you can't just educate corporate buyers on ethics and then cross your fingers. At the very same time, you have to empower the farmer with a software arsenal, hard, actionable data, so they can actually survive and compete in the modern economy. One simply can't exist without the other.
But the authors are pragmatists. They know that even with the best education in the world, you can't rely only on human morality, not when there are billions of dollars at stake. So you have to engineer trust directly into the system itself.
And this poses the central challenge, right? If the entire system is hardwired to reward those who exploit it, how in the world can you build a new system that actually enforces fairness and transparency?
The answer they propose is blockchain. Now hang on, forget everything you think you know about cryptocurrency. We are not talking about trading digital coins here. We're talking about using the underlying technology as a tool to engineer unbreakable trust. Let's just break it down really simply. A blockchain is basically a digital record book, or a ledger, that's shared across countless computers. There's no central boss. And the absolute key feature is this. Once a piece of data is entered, it is cryptographically sealed. It cannot be altered, it can't be erased, it can't be manipulated by anyone, ever.
So let's see how this builds trust. Every single data point in your food's journey, from the seed's origin and its cost, to the fertilizer used, to the price paid to the farmer, the transport costs, and finally the price in the store, it's all securely recorded on this unchangeable ledger. This means no one can cook the books. A distributor can't lie about their costs to pay a farmer less, because the real data is locked in for everyone to see.
And this is where it all comes home for us, the consumers. It means you could be standing in a grocery store, You scan a QR code on a tomato, and you can instantly see its entire verified history. You could check the farm's sustainability practices and confirm that the person who grew your food was actually paid a fair wage. It moves us beyond marketing slogans to mathematical proof.
So we've got the blueprint. It sounds incredible. But, having the blueprint for a skyscraper is one thing. Actually building it is a whole other story. And that brings us to the immense challenge of actually implementing such a radical global shift.
The authors are realists about this. They acknowledge that the current system actually profits from being opaque and exploitative. So asking it to embrace transparency isn't just a challenge. It's a direct threat to some very powerful interests. And that's why little tweaks won't work. It requires truly radical and visionary leadership. Which, of course, leads to the big skeptical question we have to ask. Has a government ever actually pulled off a structural behavioral change that involved over 1 billion people at once? Is something on this scale even possible?
The authors argue that yes, it has. And they point to a pretty striking real-world historical precedent to prove that massive, top-down, system-wide change is entirely possible if the will is there. That precedent is India's demonetization policy. In one move, the country's leaders kicked off a radical economic shift to move an entire, largely cash-based society of 1.4 billion people into a digital economy. Now, the point isn't to debate the policy itself, but to show the raw power of bold, structured policymaking on a massive, massive scale.
It's a proof of concept. If that is possible, then it's also possible for leaders to mandate moral education, to subsidize the right technologies, and to create policies that prioritize fairness over pure profit. But, and this is the big but, it requires leaders who are willing to voluntarily dismantle the very opaque systems that currently make them and their corporate backers incredibly wealthy. And this brings this huge global theory right back down to us. Because with total transparency comes a moment of truth. Let's say this system works, and a digitally verified, ethically sourced tomato costs more than an anonymous, mass-produced one. Will our society, a society trained for generations to care only about return on investment, be willing to pay the premium for a clean conscience? Or will we just keep driving that shiny, hyper-efficient supercar, perfectly fine with the fact that it still doesn't have a steering wheel?